I'd like us to talk about the cost of governance. I'd be unfair to Parliament if I let you sit here and not ask you about how ministers are taking the calls for the cost of governance. I say that because every time the conversation about cutting down the cost of governance comes in, Nigerians point to Parliament and say they're heavily paid. And then the parliamentarians say, have you asked the ministers who move in with long convoys?
Yesterday when they came here, they said,
asked them how much they earn.
How much you're spending.
Exactly. So I'd like to ask you as a minister, is it a concern for you that attention is being turned in your direction, that you are expending so much as ministers? Perhaps you could tell us what you earn, because a lawmaker here did same yesterday, and perhaps put this to rest once and for all.
Well, cost of governance is a worrisome thing, particularly me, because I see the kitty, or rather I see what is being, and how the kitty is allocated, so I know that we are not in anywhere near where we want to be. So any saving from whatever quota is important. How are ministers compensated? Ministers, like every public officials, have a payment that is that is determined by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Convoy, sometimes the ministers, most of the ministers, I have one official vehicle. I don't even use it because I have a Camry that I enjoy driving, and as a minister of budget, I want to lead by example. But so in terms of how much is a minister paid by revenue mobilization, it's less than ₦1 million.
A salary?
A salary.
How about allowances? Because that's the same thing we ask lawmakers.
I don't know of any defined allowance that a minister earns, but I might be wrong. But this is published, and I can share it with you, because it's determined by the revenue allocation, and there's nothing additional to that for a minister.
You said you have one official car.
Yes.
It was given to you when you became minister.
Yes.
Was there an official car to that ministry before you were there?
Yes, there has been.
So what happened to the car before the one you were given?
I don't know.
So this talk about every time a new administration or a new appointment is done,
bring new things,
that new purchases have to be done. Just 1 second. How do you is that something that you buy into, or you think that it should be changed, as well as the number of vehicles in the minister's fleet? Because that's petrol you're using, and it's government that buys them.
Of course, I am for as minimal as possible. You see, we must start with the obligation that I chose to be a public officer. So whatever I am, or whoever I am, I should lead by example. And I should be minimal in whatever I can to show by example, to communicate sacrifice, so that particularly the younger ones will know that being a public official is sacrifice.
It's not supposed to be lucrative.
No, it's not.
Let me ask you a trick question. I don't know what you think about Parliament, the House of Representatives, agreeing to take 50% cut in salary as their own way of showing solidarity with Nigerians. Do you think that that's something that the ministers should consider? Remember that President Tinubu Buhari did that with his vice president sometime in 2015.
That's why we have to celebrate small things in a democracy. Even if it is public pressure that is encouraging people to voluntarily say, hey, I got it. You think I can do more, I will do more. I think we are moving in the right. What is wrong is to be judgmental, because maybe we don't design the constitution. I don't design the constitution to produce 360 House of Reps members. I live with it, because the same thing was 109. How they are compensated. Maybe we can do better. We can review the constitution. We can review the compensation structure. Some people will even say bicameral legislator is too much.
Yes, that's actually one of the demands. That brings us what we're closing with. Which is you keep saying about a dialogue. This is a conversation, not a monologue.
No, it's not.
So in this dialogue right now, where these protesters, they're Nigerians, even the people looting and the hoodlums and the miscreants, they are Nigerians as well. These are indicative of problems. You used to be a former governor, and you know, we've talked about this problem of so many young people who are out of school in northern Nigeria. Talk to us a little bit about what you think can be done about that situation as we continue this conversation about the way Nigerians are upset with their government.
I think it's basic, and it's in the scriptures. We have seen even prophets in both religions, Christianity in the Bible, in the Quran, the prophets, as blessed as they are, we hear stories and read about effort. There's no compensation for a life of putting on your effort. Society should reward effort, should give people who are putting effort support so that their effort matters. That is the ultimate economic reform. The Renewed Hope agenda is, among others, designed to put a macroeconomic framework where our younger